All right, what about this one? Now, to get this partial derivative, what rule are we going to use? Patrick? We're going to use the quotient rule. And notice there's no b in the numerator. So if we take the derivative of the numerator with respect to b, that derivative is what? Anybody? Not 1, David. We're taking the derivative of the numerator with respect to b. There's no b in the numerator, right, David? So that means when we differentiate that numerator with respect to b, it's going to be 0 because there's no b up there. Okay, so it's 0, but I applaud your answer jumping right in as soon as you came to class with an answer. That's good. Okay. So the derivative of the numerator with respect to b is 0 times the denominator minus, now, David, what is the derivative of the denominator with respect to b?
1 minus b, right?
Yes. Yes.
Will be 1.
Not 1, but negative 1, because the coefficient on b is actually minus 1. So the derivative of the denominator with respect to b is a negative 1. So it's minus the derivative, minus a minus 1, times the numerator, a plus I plus g. All over what, David?
1 minus b squared.
Exactly, 1 minus b squared. So we can simplify this expression. Notice you got a 0 here, so that drops out. You got a minus times a minus 1, so it becomes a plus 1. So the numerator just becomes a plus I plus g divided by 1 minus b squared. Okay. So what is the sign of partial y star partial b? Positive, because both the numerator and the denominator are positive. 1 minus b itself is positive, then you're squaring it, so it'll still be positive. This is positive, so that is going to be positive. And in fact, you could look in terms of y star, what is partial y star partial b? Let's look at the magnitude a little bit. It's clear that the sign of this is positive, but we could get some other information. If you use y star, you could write partial y star partial b is equal to what? Notice y star is a plus I plus g over 1 minus b. So this expression right here is the same thing as what? Y star. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Helen. Yes. Oh, it's Helen. I'm sorry. I didn't know who was speaking. Go ahead, Helen. Exactly. This is the same thing as y star over 1 minus b. That's kind of interesting because this partial derivative, y star is the equilibrium value of national income. That's going to be a large number. And it's divided by 1 minus b, so it's divided by some fraction. So this is going to be, this partial derivative is not only going to be positive, it's going to be huge in magnitude. So that suggests that a small change in the marginal propensity to consume, B, is going to have a large impact on national income. Okay. Not only is this partial derivative positive, but it's huge. It's going to have a very powerful impact on national income. Okay. So if people start spending a greater fraction of their income on consumption, that'll have a powerful impact on national income. So one of the ways of trying to get out of this current recession that we're in, unemployment, I just read this, or just actually heard this morning on the radio, that unemployment in North Carolina is still over 10%. So it's very, very high. So certainly our economy is still in recession. So what would be one way of trying to getting us out of that recession, getting us out of this situation where unemployment's so high? Okay. Well, yes, that's very good. That's very good. But let's relate it to today's discussion a little more directly. What's that? Okay, and what would be one way of doing that? Let's tie it a little more closely to what we're talking about here. This is not a complete tangent I'm going on. If there was some way of raising B, the marginal propensity to consume, that would have a big impact on national income. So one way would be to have the president come out and say, everybody spend more. Go out and spend. Don't save. Go out and spend. And that would have the effect of doing what to be if people listened. Jay?
If people listen?
Yes. You sound like you're skeptical.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. But assuming people did listen.
It would increase.
Yeah, it would increase B. And that would have a big impact on national income. That'd be one way of trying to stimulate the economy, would be to have people save less. Now, this is interesting. This is called the paradox of thrift. You know, you're taught as a child, or maybe you weren't. I was. You know, it's a good thing to save. You should be thrifty. You should save for a rainy day. And while that's good at the individual level, at the collective can sometimes be a bad thing. If everybody's saving too much, it can cause the economy to be depressed. If everybody spends more, it can be a boost to the economy. Yes, well that's true. We are talking about the short run. You're right. In the longer run, maybe it's not such a good thing, especially for the country as a whole, not to save. But in the short run, it could be a big boost to the economy. Yeah, okay. All right. So that's partial Y star, partial B. It's positive, large, meaning that the equilibrium value of national income and B move in the same direction.